The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. While podcast listening has grown, 44% of US Latinos have never listened to a podcast. But, says data from Edison Research, that might well change. 2/3 of them are already listening to spoken word audio. We've the results in full in our show notes and our newsletter today. Spanish language podcast hosting company iVoox has launched a new podcaster dashboard with a revamped design, improved usability, new features and advanced metrics. They've also launched an affiliate scheme, and payouts are prominently given in the new dashboard. Yesterday, we covered Nielsen's Podcasting Today report and used a link we were given prior to embargo, but that link went to February's data. The good news is we've got a new link for you today, which goes to the very latest. Triton has released the US podcasting report for August. Downloads are up 11% from July as Apple's bug fix rolled out. Stitcher is number one for podcasts, though NPR is just 70,000 downloads behind them. It measures participating publishers only. Remote recording tool Zencastr has added a new tool, one that aims to remove long pauses. Another set of Hollywood stars are coming to podcasting. Audacy's C13 Features has announced that Kate Mara and Adam Scott have signed on to star in a psychological thriller called Ghostwriter. Audio ads on SoundCloud in the Nordic countries will now be sold by Bauer Media Audio after they signed an agreement with AdsWiz. And hello, Australia. You've got until 12 midday on Monday to get your entries in for the Australian Podcast Awards. And in podcast news, Small Town Dicks, a podcast about the big crime happening in small town USA, is back for season 9 after signing with Acast. The show is hosted by Yeardley Smith, an actor who you might recognise as the voice of Lisa Simpson. Podland this week contains an interview with Oscar Merry talking about the Fountain app, and Alex Jacoby talks about the open podcast analytics format. You'll find Podland in your favourite podcast app. And Sync Love is a new podcast about the magic of music in film from music licensing platform SyncFloor, asking music, film and advertising creatives to talk about key sync moments from their favourite films. That's music sync, not, kitchen sink. Yes, a minute of Pod Zen on the way, but that's the latest from our newsletter. For all the links, we're at podnews.net.
For Pod News, I'm Evo Terra with your Minute of Pod Zen. No rational podcaster likes spending money needlessly, but every day, podcasters make choices on and around their shows without understanding the underlying cost to their podcast or themselves. Mentioning products or services on your podcast has value, but each mention also comes with a cost you pay with your reputation. With advertising or sponsorships, there's a risk listeners will react negatively. To offset the cost associated with that risk, podcasters charge money for those mentions. But what about the non-compensated mentions podcasters make every day? Yes, those too come at a cost. That listener support service you mention on every episode, that costs you. So it's important the service you chose works really well. The links you share to get people to listen, that costs you. Are you sure everyone has a great post-click experience? That guest appearance on another podcast? Is it worth the cost to mention it if it wasn't all that great? That speaking engagement you said yes to, how sure are you of the reputation and credibility of the event itself? What will it cost you to mention it? Don't think I'm telling you to stop mentioning things. That's just silly. Just be sure that you understand everything you mention comes with a cost. Like it or not, you're making a tacit endorsement with each mention. So make sure it's worth it. You'll find more thoughts on this topic and other questions every working podcaster should be asking themselves at podcastpontifications.com. I'm Evo Terra. This has been your Minute of Pod Zen.